Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you could all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, is there any public comment? Okay, noting no public comment, can I get a verification of the posting of the agenda, please?
Tara Adams for the record. The agenda was posted on the first day of May 2026 between the hours of 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. at all locations listed on the agenda in accordance with statutes.
Thank you, Tara. This will be a revised agenda with the removal of new business 9A, which is the Board of County Commissioners Rules of Procedure. With that, we'll move to item number 5, consideration and possible action, approval of the minutes of the meeting held on March 5th, 2026, March 18th, 2026, and April 2nd, 2026. Can I get a motion for those minutes, please?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes on March 5th, 2026, March 18th, 2026, April 2nd, 2026.
Mr. Chairman, I second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Our first appointment, 6A, consideration and possible action, approval of the updated investment policy for Churchill County. Linda?
Good morning, members of the board. Linda Rothery, Clerk Treasurer for the record. Occasionally, I'll be bringing the investment policy to you as things change. Last time we updated our investment policy, it was 2022. And after reviewing the policy most recently with our investment advisors, the attached policy changes are recommended for the board's consideration. There has been small changes made in Chapter 355 of the Nevada Revised Statute, which is the public investments, and that have occurred over the past few years, and so we're just kind of catching it up. And then they've made some recommended adjustments as to define things a little bit more under the sections. Any questions?
Thank you, Linda. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Okay, is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the revisions to the Churchill County investment policy as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Linda. 6B, consideration of possible action, ascending site application TDR 26-1 filed by Robert A. Doty and Tina M. Doty, co-trustees under the Robert and Tina Doty Family Trust Agreement dated February 28, 2026. The properties are located at 9225 Pasture Road and on Norcut Lane. APN numbers 006-111-01 and 006-111-02, consisting of 168 acres in the A10 zoning district. The applicant proposes to place a conservation easement on the parcel. The floor is all yours.
Dan Kalon, Churchill County Planning for the record. The subject property meets the minimum requirements set forth in Churchill County Code 16.14. Total calculation is 229 TDRs based on the development rights calculation. Property owner has requested the appraisal with and without a home sending site. A home site reservation. Sending Site Review Committee reviewed the application on March 9th and recommended approval of both the sending site and approval of the 229 TDRs. Likewise, Planning Commission reviewed the application on April 8th, recommending approval of the sending site and the 229 TDRs. Available for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the sending site application for Robert and Tina Doty Family Trust based on providing the community benefits of preserving 160 acres of farmland with surface water rights, protecting nearby military operations, and protection of water recharge areas. And B, to approve 2029 TDRs for the same property.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. 6C, public hearing, consideration of possible action. Bill 2026-B, Ordinance 8, an ordinance making corrections, deletions, additions, and revisions to the Churchill County Chapter 2.08 Fire Board and 2.12 Fire Department and Fire Protection to modernize the code, enhance clarity, and align it with the current practices by 1, including gender-neutral terminology throughout all sections, 2, revising duties of the Fire Board and the Fire Chief related to budgeting, 3, revising duties of the fire board and fire chief related to hiring of paid fire department members. 4, updating the qualifications and responsibilities of the fire marshal. And 5, other matters related thereto. Chelsea?
Good morning, Commissioners. We're here today for a final reading, a second reading for the consideration and possible action regarding Bill 2026B, Ordinance 8, an ordinance making corrections, deletions, additions, and revisions to Churchill County Chapter 2.08, the Fire Board, and 2.2, Fire Department and Fire Protection. This is done in conjunction with the City of Fallon, where they're also going to be modernizing their codes, and it's being done in coordination. We are the first entity to go first, and then they'll go second. This was done on behalf of the fire department and what they saw they need to be done. There's no fiscal impacts. And with this PowerPoint, you can see, even though we've previously gone over it, this is kind of an easy way to, oh, it vibrates. Some of the changes that are being made, gender neutral. You can see we're going from councilman to councilperson. We're going from firemen and so forth to more gender neutral. In green, you can see what coordinates to the Fallon Municipal Code, what it coordinates to. These are some of these changes we're making. These are some of the changes done to the duties. This is also included in your packet and done in the previous reading. One of the biggest changes is that we're modernizing how the budget is done. It used to be done this way in 2.08.030. This section is going to be repealed, and it's going to be incorporated in a later section. And the later section is going to detail more of the fire department's duties. We'll get to that later. Here's one of the creation and the offices. We're removing that chart, changing some grammar. And we are changing some of the qualifications for the fire marshal. You can see those changes reflected above. And these are some of the fire marshal duties being changed, that they just need to report to the fire board. Some grammar changes, gender neutral. And this is the also changes to the fire chief duties. You can see the budgeting is reflected in subsection B2G, where it's going to be changed as be responsible for complying and administrating the annual budget. The chief shall submit the proposed budget to the fire board, and upon approval of the fire board, present the budget to the county commissioners and the mayor for approval. And this is some other gender neutral changes. And that is the sum total of the changes we're making. However, it looks slight on paper. However, it is a big change regarding just modernizing it and reflecting the current practices that are done inside the fire board. I'm happy to accept any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
I have no questions. Just want to say thank you to the district attorney's office and the fire department for getting this corrected and for our vision for the future.
Any other questions or comments? Any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt B 2026-B and make changes to the Churchill County Code.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
6D, consideration of possible action, adoption of Resolution 7-2026, a resolution establishing a capital project fund known as the SNPLMA Fund, and other matters properly related thereto. Sherry?
Thank you. This is mostly just a housekeeping item. Since we got awarded the SNPLMA funds and they're going to be capital projects, we need to create a fund to account for all those grants and expenditures associated with the grants. And it requires us to adopt a new fund, which I'm coming to you today to request. And then it would need to, I will need to send it to taxation so that they have it, so that all our financials run matched what the state has. So let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sherry. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Any public comment? Go ahead and come up and use the microphone, please, and state your name for the record. It'll be the little red button on the bottom.
John Morton. I'm just hoping if we could get possibly an exact public record of all the different taxes and where they're going to be used for the new programs. I know that some of our other things are struggling, and so I just feel like a new taxation for any form of fund would be great to have, like a very detailed, I guess, report of how it could affect everyone for some form of new fund like this. I'm just hoping for some sort of release with any like actual data would be great for us to review. That's all.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Any other public comment? Okay, if not, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Resolution 7-2026 as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. 6E, consideration of possible action, approval of an updated organizational structure for the District Attorney's Office to create Assistant District Attorney position. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. The District Attorney's Office has been in communication with myself and Human Resources in the creation of an Assistant District Attorney position. This position acts as the second in command for the office and is responsible for being the District Attorney in the event of a temporary absence of the elected District Attorney. They have provided this request, and this obligation would currently be falling on the current Chief Deputy District Attorney for the Criminal Office. If this action was adopted, the intent would be that that position would be retitled and moved to be the Assistant District Attorney, and that they would not have a refilling of the Chief Criminal District Attorney of the Criminal Office at this time. There are impacts associated with that, associated with the comp study. Baker Tilly has been provided with this recommendation and this request, and based off of having a supervisory structure over the Chief of the Civil Office, would be recommending it to be one step higher than that, which has associated impacts. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
I just have one comment. If this position goes up a step, that will also affect the district attorney's pay due to the schedule, how elected officials have to be 3% above their first in command.
Okay, thank you for that information, Sherry. Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Art.
Yeah, just very briefly, Mr. Chairman, I apologize, but I'm somewhat of a simpleton, so let me put it in simple terms. Lane Mills has been functioning in this capacity since 2015 with a job description that reflects that. The only change, in our opinion, the only thing we wanted to change is the title, but the function is the same as has been carried out. So we're not creating a new position. Could be a little bit misleading. I don't think it's legally insufficient, but we're not creating a new position. We're just renaming an old position. And then Joe's made whatever adjustments HR needs to make in order to make that fit, which we greatly appreciate. Thank you, Joe. So that's just a simple way to put it. So there's no additional staff being added or anything like that.
Okay, thank you, Art. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Mallory, you said that this wasn't going to be an impact, or you agree that there will be an impact if we approve this today? Did you mention that you felt that this was not going to be a impact as far as revenue goes or cost goes? Or did you?
Your microphone, Art.
Position, so it'll fit in our present scheme, but there's no new person or new position being created.
I understand there's no new position, and I understand we're retitling a position to where we're not going to
Right.
rehire another person. But there is a physical impact if we approve this today, because when we move forward in a few minutes, if we approve the comp study as presented, then this position would, they would receive a raise, which then we would have to raise your salary. So are you aware of that? That's how that's going to
I'm
go?
aware of it, but it's not a concern to me, and if it did not occur, I'm not concerned about my salary part. And I even checked the statute to see if I could waive that, but I can't. So it is what it is. But the main thing is to change to properly reflect what Mr. Mills is doing. He's doing the same function as the Assistant District Attorney in Clark or Washoe would be doing.
I understand that. I guess
Monetarily, there might be, the comptroller and Mr. Sanford can address whatever monetary concerns there are, but that was not our reasoning behind this.
Okay. I guess my biggest concern is the physical impact. And if we did approve this, then like when we approved the comp study, then we would want to look at, instead of leaving that position at the rate that it is, moving it down one position so there is no physical impact. How do you feel about that?
Well, that's unfortunate. If whoever was doing that had read the job description, they would have been enlightened as to the different function that this person had. But it was, I take the blame for not having the proper title on the job description. So that's what I'm correcting. But the job description is accurate.
I understand the job description is accurate.
Right,
I
has
understand
been
that,
since 2015.
that you want to retitle, but for there to not be a physical impact.
Right, we did not do it for the purpose of physical impact. If there is one, then that's whatever has to be because of whatever study was done, but that was not our intent nor our purpose.
All right.
We'll leave that to people smarter than me to figure out.
All right, thank you.
I agree with Commissioner Blakey. My main concern is just the fiscal impact. We're, short quite a bit of money this year, so any fiscal impact is, any savings that we can get from a position is much better. But any other questions or comments? If none, I'd entertain a motion.
Before the motion, I just want to make sure that if we do approve this position, then there's a high likely that I will, when we talk about the comp study before we approve it, I would talk about reducing the pay back to where it's at, to where there will not be an impact. I just want to make that clear.
That's totally up to the commission.
Yeah, just want to make sure that you know where I'm standing, where I'm thinking.
I understand that might happen. I'd like the title to be changed to accurately reflect what Mr. Mills' function is.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Okay, any other questions or comments from board or staff? If none, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the updated organizational structure for the District Attorney's Office effective July the 7th, 2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries.
Thank you,
Art.
Commissioner.
6F, consideration and possible action, adoption of an updated organizational structure for the Clerk Treasurer's Office to reclassify one Deputy Clerk Treasurer to Deputy Clerk to the Board, creating and retitling two Deputy Clerk positions to Treasurer Accounting Specialist positions, and retire the existing Deputy Clerk position. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. As you're all aware, we're part of doing a compensation study at this time. As part of that study, we provided a lot of job descriptions, including some for the Clerk Treasurer's Office. There's some updates and modifications associated with that job description that make clear the duties of all of these various functions within the Clerk Treasurer's Office. Currently, there are a number of Deputy Clerk Treasurers that are spread across each of these functions, specifically the treasuring function and the backup for the Deputy Clerk to the Board. The Clerk's Office has requested to I guess as part of the job description, has updated the requirements associated with those positions to more reflect the needs of those positions to perform as part of those jobs, and to assign each of these positions a title that was reflective of the job that they're doing. So the request is to take the three current Deputy Clerk Treasurer positions, one of which is vacant, and have the two that are performing treasurer functions become treasurer accounting specialist positions, and have the one that is performing the backup to the deputy clerk to the board assigned to the deputy clerk to the board position.
Thank you, Joe. Do you have anything to add, Linda?
Just basically what he said, going through the comp study with all the changes of the job descriptions, this is where it comes down to, because they're doing those duties, we're just assigning them the proper job descriptions.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board or staff?
I have a question. In reviewing the job description, it references performing advanced accounting and governmental accounting procedures. What procedures does these positions perform that are related to those buzzwords?
Just the treasurer's duties, but, from the treasurer's NRSs, I don't have them specifically in front of me, but I can definitely, bring that back to to whomever's questioning it, Sherry. So, I can do that.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from board or staff?
A couple questions I have about retitling and changing the job descriptions. Will they be able to help each other, or are they only going to be able to do what that title is?
The three sections of my office do specific jobs. They're all different. However, cross-training is a minimal level for each of the positions. So for an example, my election technician, anybody can walk up to the windows and ask for voter registration information if they're registered. And then when it gets into the weeds of that, then they might have to, questions that are further from those high-level questions for cross-training. Any tax question, any board question, so those are pretty high-level. However, each of those departments are specific to what they do, and I do not have anybody cross-training other than the people, into those, the higher-level duties.
All right. And then when I read the job descriptions, I felt like there wasn't enough in there to advise that employee that they have to work across the desk to another section there. So I'd like to see, if we do approve this, that you make changes to the job description that would conform with HR's requirement that would give us latitude, that you're not going to come back and say, well, I need a third accounting because they're busy, but the clerks aren't, or something like that. That's what I'm after there. And then by raising the qualifications, do you find that we're going to have less candidates that would apply? And if that happens, how are you going to address that? Are you going to come back and try to reduce the job description so you can get people to apply? Because the qualifications to start out they're tall.
So essentially, the job description, the new recommendation is we went from 2 years of experience, where I'm basically asking for 4 years of experience in whatever that field is, whether it's finance or if it's, board, or it's all specified in the job description. So it's just, it's 4 years of whatever they have. It could be whether it's education or it's experience. So experience can replace the education if they've got more experience. So essentially, when we advertise what they want. Yes, we get applications and we'll review all those applications. And we will, if they are qualified for the position that they're applying for and they have that experience at a minimum, then that's who we will, interview. So no, we will not come back to the board and change that, because we would like to have a minimum of 4 years of experience.
But I just find that, our county's small and we're struggle to grow sometimes, and I just don't want to restrict a good candidate that's easily trainable, that could pick up quick, and then they're intimidated by the job description when they go to look at it, and they don't even apply. So that, it's concerning for me as a small county, because we're limited on who we can pick from. And then by doing this, then another question I had is, if we're going to have more skilled people, then maybe we can always do it with less. Is that what your thinking is? That if we do in fact find skilled people, then there would never be a need for a lot more people,
The staff I have currently are all, actually, they are already skilled, and they would, the applications, when they came in, they already were over 4 years of experience in the field of what we were hiring for. So we've got skilled people in there now. And with all the new technology, yes, we've implemented quite a bit in the last 5 years. It's not that I can get rid of a staff, it's the work that we need to do. It's just that we've kind of redistributed it, you know, with that technology.
Okay. Well, just to summarize my comments, I'd like to make sure those job descriptions are aligned to where they can work across the desk to help someone fully and get a cross-train, I guess, in that office. I just feel like that office, you need to be able to do everything, but that's just my opinion. Definitely don't want to be dissatisfied if I come up to the window needing something done and someone says, well, you have to come back after lunch because they're gone. You know, that's not going to sit well with me as a citizen.
And this,
and then on the organizational chart that you provided, you know, I'd like to see you, and I'm sure you will, take the names off. You know, it should just be positions there. And then a comment that I've made to you many times is, you know, push out hiring that other deputy clerk as long as you can to make sure we really need a second deputy clerk. So I'll just say that one more time. I've told you probably 10 times. So.
yes, and we're actually in the process of trying to hire that deputy clerk. But I also have another staff that's out of the office for 3 months. So there's going to be savings again in my office, which I'll just bring up because we had savings last year with payroll. So yes, you know, we're having a lag and we're going through an election on top of that. So being down 2 people right now, as we are, you know, rotating everybody, you know, absorbing things. And that is including myself and my chief deputy, because we are the backup to whomever. And then to answer your question, the reason, you know, it's like we set up our different areas of our office that one person can't be at lunch. You know, so if my 2 deputy clerk to the boards wouldn't be at lunch at the same time, they don't go on vacation at the same time, that I would have one person in the office that can do those functions wholeheartedly. And it's the same thing with the treasurer's functions as well as the election functions.
Thank you for those comments.
Any other questions or comments from board or staff? I do have a couple here. I will just echo kind of what Commissioner Blakey said. In this labor market, I personally find it unusual to be adding requirements. I mean, you just saw with the fire marshal, we slashed the experience from 10 years to 5 years. And that's just the labor market now. It's so hard to find employees, and you know this as well as I know, that especially in your office, we had all those openings and they were impossible to fill. And so I don't really love increasing the requirements, but if that's what you want to do for your office, that's what you want to do for your office. Any other questions or comments?
No, I would just agree with the comments already made. So it sounds to me like the last hiring, we did get people with 4 years' experience eventually. And, you know, you can look at it 2 ways. Maybe if the compensation for what we were asking for was a little bit better, maybe it would have happened a little bit sooner. So, yeah, but I agree with all the comments made. So I'm ready to make a motion at this time.
Okay, is there any public comment? Okay, if none, a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the updated organizational structure for the Clerk Treasurer's Office as presented, effective July 7th, 2026.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Linda. Did anyone want to pull the letter received? Okay, if none, or if not, we'll jump to old business. 8A, consideration of possible action, adoption of the Churchill County compensation study performed by Baker Tilly, adoption of an updated compensation table, assignments of position to grade and compensation table, and adoption of an implementation method for the next fiscal year. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Joe Sanford for the record. Baker Tilly has been working very hard on the compensation study. They have provided to us their most recent recommendation, has all of their final recommendations for jobs as they assigned to particular grades. They are, I hope, on the phone still to give their presentation.
The floor is all yours, Sarah. Or Jada.
Yes. Let's see. Actually, would I be able to share my screen? I think the presentation is a little different.
I gave you access to do that.
Okay. Great. Okay, you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you, commissioners. My name is Jada Kent. I lead the compensation consulting practice here with Baker Tilly. We really appreciate the opportunity to clarify our methodology, our findings, and recommendations. I know this is a presentation you all have seen several times, so I'm not going to kind of go into depth of all of our phases and the details of all of that unless you have specific questions. So at a high level, I just want to kind of overview the 5-phase process that we went over. In the initiation phase, collecting lots of information to understand what is the current situation in Churchill County, your existing job descriptions or charts, understanding the positions that exist, the work that's performed, the relationship between those positions. In the next phase of the project, really kind of digging into the work performed in terms of understanding internal equity. We have our own point factor job evaluation tool that we use to measure internal equity. And the end result of that process is a total score for every job. And, quantifying it that way allows us to, in the pay plan development phase, really partner that information with the market data that we're going to collect here in the next phase. So with the position review, that was, validating titles, making sure positions are called what they're doing, and establishing that internal equity piece, which is based on 9 compensable factors. That's measuring the position, not the person in the position, because a couple of those factors are education and experience requirements, but that's of the job. So not what the person has, but rather what is the requirements of this job. So as I said, end result of that process is a total score for every job. In the market phase, going out with a custom survey to collect that base pay information from identified peers, to have that additional quantifiable information to partner with that internal equity piece. So I'm going to dig in a little bit further on the market and the pay plan. The 10 organizations identified for the market survey, listed 1 through 10 here, and we were able to collect data from all of those organizations. And we also supplemented with data from our published sources to represent that private sector kind of angle. So we do have public and private representation. Some adjustments that we make to the data, a really big one is cost of labor, and that's by geography. Just knowing that the pace of wages in certain geographies are going to move faster or slower based on, frankly, the size. If you're in a rural environment, the pace of your wages are not as fast, right? You don't have to because you don't have as much competition, versus if you're in a really big city, there's a lot of different places people can work, so your wages have to be a little bit more competitive, therefore they move faster. So the adjustments that we apply to that data is kind of provided here. And I do want to call out one of these notes that we have, that we did an additional adjustment to Washoe County, and that is because they have, as you know, they're pretty aggressive in the market. They very likely have a aggressive lead philosophy. And so including them in the data set means you have to kind of make an additional decision about if, do we need to adjust it further? And for the sake of the study, we did adjust it down by 10% in addition to this cost of labor adjustment. So some high-level results from the market survey. We surveyed 92 positions. 86 of those ended up with sufficient data. That means they had more than 3 matches. We require at least 3 to be able to calculate that market value. In the table below, you'll see a pretty big amount of the titles surveyed are lagging market, about 69%, and 7% are on the other side of that coin, leading market. And so we like to demonstrate the data this way because the purpose of the market study is not a silver bullet. It's not what's the magic number, plug that in and call it a day, right? Because if you picked a magic number from the results of the study, you can see just how little that would impact some, and for others, they don't even need that adjustment. So the point of that is really to have the data to go position by position to really tailor some results to the county. So just overall, Minimums are about 6.9% below market, midpoints 9.7% below market, and maximums 11.6% below market. So at all of those thresholds, kind of just lagging the market in general. But as I said, we take that data into the pay plan development phase, looking at what do you currently have, is it working, what's not working about it, do we need to tweak it, do we need to build a brand new pay structure. This is your current pay structure. There's very many grades, unused grades, kind of creating an unnecessary complexity, no career progression or administration. So the proposed pay structure we have instead, a bit fewer grades, and addressing the, making sure we have consistency with the midpoint differential. That's going to be the distance between each grade at the midpoint. Consistency with the step differentials. So steps 1 through 11 is a consistent 3% between each step for a total of 34%. So just trying to be consistent up and down and left to right. So coming back to the internal equity and the external equity, when we look at building a pay plan or even tweaking your existing pay plan, we really like to use math and the formulas and kind of use the data to drive our process. This regression is measuring the relationship between the internal equity and the external equity. There is usually a pretty high correlation, right? A manager is a manager is a manager. Sometimes you're going to have outliers, and this is where we find them. Outliers or even errors in the data, so it helps us, pay attention where we need to go, make sure things might look funny. So each of these dots represents a position. Along the bottom is going to be representing the total job evaluation score, and the left is going to represent that market average midpoint. So we can see where each position, plotting on both of those internal and external data points kind of land. And so understanding the lowest low, the highest high, and really the pitch in between. How fast are we moving up? Is it kind of level? Is it a fast acceleration? That's how we know how to build your pay plan to you. The midpoint differential being that consistent percentage between to get us there. And then looking at how many grades we had before versus now, a lot of unused grades previously that we're trying to limit how many we have. And so when we talk about, we've got the pay structure, how do we get positions assigned to this pay structure? It's all of the data that we compiled from the study. We have the job evaluation telling us an answer. We have the market data telling us an answer, but we also pay attention to your existing equity. So we start by crosswalking positions into the new pay structure based on current midpoints. And the reason for that is we want to start positions where they are so that they don't end up lower. And then from there, we'll consider internal equity or market says to move it up. Do we need to build in additional separation because we have a career progression or supervisor subordinate separation, or even that line in the sand for the exempt, non-exempt, right? If, moving up causes you to lose your overtime pay, and then that additional responsibility doesn't result in extra pay, then, you're going to need more separation to make it worth it for those folks. Also grade compression. So all of those factors are what we take into consideration when we're establishing where do positions line up in this new pay structure. The things we're not considering are the person. How long has that person been in their position, their performance, their existing salary? Do we like them or not? No factors about the person are being taken into consideration because frankly, those employees could leave tomorrow. And the county needs to understand the value of work. And the point of the study was to recalibrate a pay plan defining that floor and the ceiling for the value that will be paid for those positions. It's in the next phase of this process where we start to talk about the people, plugging people in from an implementation standpoint. We start by allocating employees into each of the positions in the project, and then creating a model that is a consistent approach. So we have 3 different scenarios we created. Basically, it's a rule-based environment where, if this, then this, for all employees kind of equally across the board, just so you don't get into the trouble of looking like you're cherry picking. It's all employees are being kind of treated in the same environment. So option 1 is moving employees to the closest step in their new pay grade without a decrease. And so, That's looking at the existing salary, finding the step that's closest numerically to that number without a decrease and putting them on that step. So option 1 is going to represent the minimum action the county needs to take to adopt this pay plan, this whole class and comp plan, because it's actually placing employees on a step. Option 2 is looking at placing employees on a step based on their years in position. So if you've been in your position for 3 years, you would go to step 3. 4 years, step 4, so on and so forth. And I do want to caveat that this is tied to years in position, not years of tenure with the organization, right? Because your pay range is tied to your title. So if you've been with the county for 10 years, but last year you became a manager, you wouldn't be 10 years through your manager pay range because you are just 1 year into that title. So this is tied to years in position. The final option is you stay on the same step. The county currently has a step plan. So if you were already on step 4, for an example, you would go to step 4 in the new pay structure. So kind of keeping some of that continuity with these approaches. And from there, I will pass it over to Joe, who may have more to talk about with implementation.
Thank you, Jada. This board has made a couple of recommendations previously that they are interested in option 2. That is the option that has county employees placed on the new table and then moved up based on the years in the position that they are. And I think the general effect, as that's been in our county, has been for typically at the higher end of the scale, people who have moved up in their positions over time, they tend to fall back towards the beginning of the range, but their, I guess, incentive is to continue to work with the county longer. And then for the people who are generally just being hired into the county, they will not be impacted typically as any different than being on the same step that they're on now. And so that tends to, I guess, balance the current comp study implementation to have impacts across the entirety of the pay range.
Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to this board. Any questions or comments?
First, I'd like to say thank you to Baker Tilly and the excellent work that you've done, the excellent product that you provided, and something that we can work for or work from in the future. They have gave us a model that is very usable, very viable, and easy to edit. So with that said, I think there's a few things that, or I would like to take the study now and like to tailor it to our community to where I think it would make us as attractive as we can be and make us compatible with other entities. So I have a few ideas. I don't know if I want to just talk about those now and let you guys have something to say. But as I'd mentioned, we previously approved the Assistant District Attorney's position, but in order for it not to have an impact, we would need to move that position down 1 grade. I don't know if that's something that you guys want to entertain. But if you move him down, then we would need to move down the Chief Deputy Civil, and we need to move down the Senior Deputy. Each one of them go down 1 grade in order to accommodate that. And then, but there is a concern in the District Attorney's Office that, they're having trouble obtaining new attorneys. So with those coming down, then, we may want to look at the Attorney 2 position to move them up 1 grade to make that a little bit more attractive. And then on the Attorney 1, move those up to a 21 or a 22 to make it sort of in line, just to be attractive. And I understand that the comp study has done what we ask it to do. And but something that's in my mind also is a good majority of the counties that we compared to, are their wages compressed already, and we just don't know that. So I want to, that's factoring into my decision a little bit on how I'm getting to some of these thoughts. Because we have to be attractive, and we're in a very competitive market anymore. So then when you move on to the, down a little bit lower, I think there's a group of, there's a group that have been listed as 7s that I would like to see if we could move that. There's a group, not all the 7s, but some of them, move them up to an 8 to make that position where it's a more attractive area. And I think there's a group of them, because I think they're all within the rights of what kind of work they do. And then I found one 8 that might need to be moved up one position, and I found a 9 that a 9 could go, that position could go up 1 or 2 spots to get it competitive. So I just feel that we are at a point that we could make a decision on this with a little bit of tweaks on our thoughts and our concerns today to get our county moving in the right direction with this product. And I will let you guys have some thoughts now, and then I'll come back around if I need to.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
No questions, just some comments. Agree with Member Blakey. I guess for me, when I look at this and I look at the way it's scored, and then they put the safe score in there, and it goes in with the market, and I look more at the market for what we're trying to do and stay competitive. And I believe that there's, we have to kind of trust our department heads with what their people are doing. And so I don't have any problems with what Member Blakey has presented. One of the biggest reasons we did this was to stay competitive with market. And so those are my comments. I want to stay competitive with market. I understand the theory. Sometimes theories don't fit every case. So I'm okay with Member Blakey's suggestions. We need to get more specific on what 7s and 8s. And I believe I have an idea which ones. So let's identify those and move forward.
I'll just echo what Commissioner Hyde said. I really have no problem with your suggestions on what you got there. I don't want to get too crazy with altering this. At the end of the day, Baker Tilly are the professionals at this, and this is their product they gave us. So with that, you want to go over the clarifications on what 7s you want to move to 8s?
Okay, with that said, and I think I'm looking at this as, yes, I don't want to get far away from Baker Tilly's, because then we don't have a viable product. But I'm looking at this as how can we get someone that is looking for a career, how can we even appease to them an opportunity that, oh man, that's a great opportunity for me, that's just enough to get started. Because I'm really looking at this as at the starting wage. What's the starting wage? That's what I think people have to look at, especially if they're not here. So with that, the 7s that I would like to consider is, and I know everybody's pages print different, so social services has an office specialist that's at a 7, and then the sheriff has an evidence civil specialist at a 7, and then the sheriff has a records and licensing specialist at a 7, and then the evidence custodian at the sheriff has a 7. And then there's an office specialist at the road department. And then there's a recordation clerk 1 at the recorder's office. And then there's a human resource specialist at human resources. And there's a operations specialist at the assessor. And then there's that's the 7s that I think we should consider maybe moving to an 8, just for an attraction purpose. They all, to me, I looked at all their job descriptions, and they're close enough that, I think they would all move together. So that's the sevens. Do you want to talk about that before I move on, or?
I do want to just make one clarification. The office specialist position is largely throughout the county. The compensation study took to the road and the social services person, but there are other office specialists throughout the county. For confirmation, would you intend to do that for the other office specialist positions? For example, our planning department has one that does the business licensing. And I know there's one or two more.
And I understand that, but they're already up the ladder there some. And I'm not really making this about an office specialist. I just feel like that this group of people match what I'm trying to achieve there. I understand your thoughts. Unless I missed something and I'm not seeing it on here.
Also, something to consider in that is that you have positions that are above that already. So if you're moving that one up, what the other one's going to be equal to it. You'd have to, I think, something that would need to be looked at is the hierarchy of that office as well, when we start looking at just arbitrarily taking certain positions and moving them up.
I think when you look at the office specialist, I don't think we can move one office specialist without moving them all.
I'm with
I guess
Commissioner
I'm
Hyde on that.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just having a tough time finding another one on this list that says office specialist.
They are not on the list. We took that one title to mean all of them. It got split for the road and the social services. I'm not exactly sure why, but typically we have that one job description across all of our office specialists. And so I was just looking for clarification on whether you want all of our office specialists or just one in particular. At the current time, that would require us to create a new job description if we were doing it one by one, as opposed to just doing all office specialists.
No, I concur with Commissioner Hyde. That's fine with me to make them all one category or one grade. And I don't have a problem with that. I think it's less than, that doesn't matter.
I'd like to talk about the comptroller's office. We're not getting any increase.
I still have the floor.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, my bad.
So if you guys are, and that's the sevens, we'll move that like that. And then by doing that, then this is where it creates one problem that I found was in the recorder's office, the clerk 2 is an 8, so we'd have to move those to a 9 in order to do that.
In agreement with that?
And then the other one I had was down at the, where's it at here? The assessor's office. There's a position there that has to hold certificates, and they are equal to a permit tech and a planning tech, and if not, a little bit more than that. So I'd like to at least entertain getting them to an 11, but up 10, I guess, would work. But we'd like to get that one moved up. And then as far as me, and then I can go back to the district attorney, the attorney 1. I think we just need to get that wage at least, I'd like to see it at a 22, but just to make it attractive, but at least move it up 1 and then move up the attorney 2, at least 1, and then bring those top 3. Each one of those would come down 1 to do the hierarchy with that new position. Your thoughts?
I'm in agreement on the assessor's office, and I'm in agreement with the 2 attorney positions, bumping attorney 1 to, prefer a 21, just because, trying to keep this as cheap as possible, but keeping this ball rolling with bumping all of this up.
And I also want to mention, I did speak with County Manager Spross, and he had only mentioned that Ms. Weideman may have comments about her department. Other than that, he didn't have any other departments that had comments.
Okay, Sherry, you want to go ahead?
Sure. You guys ready? I didn't want to interrupt. Sorry about that. I just wanted to talk on the comptroller's office and give a little history on it. I have a position that's right now pegged at 10. In 2015, this position was downgraded 3 steps. And then and it has not been, it's the only position within the county that has not been increased in the 2021 job study, the 2022 job study, and now in this year, it's not being increased as well. And if I look at, if you look at the market that was provided by Baker Tilly, we are below market, and this was expressed to Baker Tilly and within all the meetings. And if I take an example of Lyon County, we are 11% below their lowest position in their comptroller's office, 11.5 to be exact. And so I'd like my department to be looked at. All my people are being rolled down instead of rolled up, even though the market is higher than what they're getting. And so that's the staffing part of the comptroller's office. And then if you look at the management's structure of the county, what's happening here is we used to have a 12.5% between the management levels, between the highest to the lowest various management levels. And what this study is doing is compressing that. So now there's only a 6% between each of the department head levels. And if you look at Lyon County, they've got between 22 to 12% between all of their management. So in essence, my department is being downgraded because all the other departments are being moved up to where we're at. And we have not received any kind of grade adjustment in 11 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Any other questions or comments?
Are you talking about your department as a whole?
Yes.
Do you have any any more comments or any more reasoning for why it was 12 and had to be 12% difference on those kind of wages?
Well, if you look at all the counties, I went through them, and they do have a larger scale. It's due to responsibility and requirements. And so I guess they value the safeguarding of the assets and the financial aspects of their county higher than some of the others, and due to the educational requirements of the counties. Also to note that if you look at, looking at the various steps, I was told when I met with Baker Tilly and HR that the safe structure was causing my departments to go down. However, I gave different information as to why our department should be scaled up due to that. I mean, our scope of work is county-wide. We touch every department within this county. My staff works with department heads down to employees, and I mean, the list goes on. I'm sure you don't want the whole list, but it's comprehensive. And if you look at the way that the management structure is with other counties, the comptroller is a lot higher than other departments due to the risk factor and the responsibilities of keeping the finances of the county solid and making deadlines and compliances. And then if you go and look at what positions actually changed from the original Baker Tilly suggestion and then what management has done, we got 9 positions within Parks and Rec that were upgraded due to negotiations between the HR and Baker Tilly. We got 3 county manager positions that were upgraded, and Public Works went up. And then our Public Works Director is being raised up above the comptroller's position. I don't see that in any other counties. And our Public Works Department is not over the road department. It's not. We have our water and sewer, which is outsourced, so we're paying an outsourced company to manage our water and sewer. So there's elements that seem like the position title was weighted heavier than perhaps the actual structure of the departments. And so those are some of my concerns.
Joe, could you address some of those concerns, please?
Sure. I want to start with the first, which is HR and the county manager's office don't have a negotiation with Baker Tilly to establish grades. I mean, Baker Tilly, they were hired to perform this function to give us their best estimate. And my function has been providing them with information from all of the department heads, from all of our elected officials, to ensure that any information that they needed, they had. Other than that, I've informed them about the structure of our office, and then addressed concerns related specifically to internal equity in saying these are the types of positions we have. I, under no circumstance, have said, I really want this position to be this number, and that we're increasing some or decreasing others based on that fact. I'm not sure if they're still on, but Baker Tilly, I'm sure, would be happy to express that, their work product is their work product. As far as the, I guess, management structure or design of the counties, I guess I would say that I would expect if there were significant differences in management pay at other counties, they would have been reflected within the comp study as it has been evaluated. If they were 20% up, then our market data would have said they'd be 20% higher. And so I don't know what to say other than to say that we have Baker Tilly study that provides the information that it has provided. I don't have any basis to suggest that a different structure is more appropriate than what has been presented.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions or comments?
Did you guys have anything about that?
Do you guys have anything?
Denise Felton, Churchill County Assessor for the record. I would just respectfully request that my deed and title person be an 11 versus a 10, because none of the 10 positions are required to have a certification or continuing education. So there is that distinction. Otherwise, I lose my incentive for that person to become certified. Thank you.
Tasha Hesse, Churchill County Recorder. I respectfully request that the Recorder Clerk 2 be moved to a 10 based off of the market findings. Thank you.
Oh, did you have public comment, though? Yes, I did. Yeah, we'll give it now while you're up here.
John Morton again. Hello. I wasn't going to talk until the 10:30 meeting, but I have some very important information about what y'all are talking about. I was QA for a multi-million-dollar company for about 10 years, and the question I asked people on their exit interview was, why are you leaving us? We had people that had been with the company for decades that just walked out the door and wouldn't even bother to give us an exit interview. The number one thing people told me was nobody said thank you. I want to severely caution anyone who has any decision-making power in accepting this very humanless report from Baker Tilly. She used a phrase that we did not even consider the people in this position, because I believe her quote was, let's face it, they'll be gone tomorrow. The market and the product y'all are referring to is us. We're all people here. We're all part of this market. Miss Weidman, you shouldn't even be here. 11 years without a pay increase? There's a reason you stayed, miss, and it's not going to be reflected in any soulless report from Baker Tilly. Because reports like this focus on numbers only. We're not numbers. We are humans with desires and reasons to stay in different towns. Okay? And so the thing is that when you show a linear curve function graph for walking forward with your duties, You are asking people to gain highway hypnosis and bail, to beg to go find a J-curve job where they can actually perform and function and challenge themselves. I really apologize if my face was giving me away out there, but this report is completely soulless. And if you follow this at all to the letter of how they presented it, you're going to start hemorrhaging humans like there's no tomorrow. And you're going to then have to loop back. And like Mr. Blakey said, the number that matters is the first number for the introduction. That's what people, when they bail from an industry and go somewhere lateral, that's the number they're looking at. Because they don't get to take their experience with them in most cases, right? They have to re-perform and regain those. Please, please remember that HR stands for human resources. And when someone like Baker Tilly specifically says we are ignoring the human element of this report, it is critically and inherently flawed and needs to be thrown out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from any of the department heads, elected officials, us up here? Denise, it was deed trust technician?
I'm sorry?
It was deed entitled.
My deed and title, yes.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to go over my understanding of what has been proposed at this point in time?
If you could, Joe, just go slow, go slow.
All right, I will go slow. I will start with the positions that are moving from grade 7 to grade 8. This would be the office specialist position, the recordation clerk 1 position, the assessor operations specialist position, the evidence custodian position, the sheriff's licensing and records and licensing specialist position, and the human resource specialist position. I have for positions changing from grade 8 to grade 9 is the recording clerk 2, Ms. Hesse has requested that that be to 10, but this commission has not currently given any feedback as to that. The assessor's deed and title review specialist has been, sorry, let me get the exact correct title for that position.
The deed and title review specialist?
Yeah, sorry. Deed and title review specialist has been recommended to move from a grade 9 to a grade 10 or 11.
Well, real quick, let's address some of these that we haven't discussed. I'm fine with the recorder's office personally, and I'm fine with the deed and title going to an 11, because they have that additional requirement. Are you guys in agreement with that?
I'm okay with that. I just want to go back to the 7s. And it could be just because it says this, but evidence and civil specialist at the sheriff, is that still, that's considered an office specialist per se?
You got to pull your mic closer, they can't hear you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that is currently the evidence and civil
Okay.
specialist and the sheriff's record and licensing specialist are being combined to be that single position, sheriff
Okay.
records and licensing specialist.
Yeah, I had them all, and then a 10 and 11, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Joe. Or Commissioner Hyde, do you have any problem with those? Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, then there's been some discussion about the district attorney's office. I will, I guess, go from the top down so that I can understand. The assistant district attorney position is recommended for 26, which would move the chief civil deputy district attorney to 25, the senior deputy district attorneys to 24. The DA2 is currently recommended at 23, and so you had discussed moving that up, but that has, would now conflict with the new senior, so I would leave it at 23. And then you recommended moving DA1 from 20 to either 21 or 22.
Would you guys prefer a 21 or a 22 on that?
Well, I'm the one who brought it up, so you have to say something.
I'd be fine with going to a 22.
I think that would help recruiting
Yeah.
opportunities.
Okay, so 22 on that, Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Did you have anything else, or that's it?
I mean, I guess I will talk on the comptroller's office. The comptroller accountant 2 position is, I mean, the wage market is down below what we're currently paying. And then accountant specialist 1 in the comptroller's office is going down from what it is. And I understand the person in the position won't go down, but the position itself is going down. And that is a vital department that we have. So I'd like to consider, like the accountant specialist 1 going to an 11, and then accountant 2 going to a 15, if it doesn't mess with the hierarchy in that department.
I'd agree with you on that. Lane, go ahead.
Thank you. With respect to the changes to the district attorney's pay scales for the senior and for the ADA, I would just submit that those are, moving those down, so the current ones are below market as it is, and so you're proposing to bring them further below market.
Thank you, Lane. Are those all the edits we want to make to this? Yeah. Actual difference on that.
If we're going to talk about the assistant district attorney, we should probably talk about the assistant county manager, public defender, public works director, and comptroller to make sure we're satisfied where they are. You guys have comments on that?
I'm happy with where they're at.
I'm satisfied where they're at.
District attorney. Let's see. I have a question. I'm not sure who will answer, but would the assistant district attorney be equal to a public defender?
Assistant,
I get it here.
public defender versus DA question. Did you notice that?
Assistant district attorney.
Assistant district attorney and the assistant public defender, are they the same?
No, is the assistant district attorney the same as a public defender?
Oh, public, same as the public.
As the public defender?
I'm not sure what your question is, but the assistant district attorney is for the district attorney. It's all. Mr. Mills?
I'll rephrase the question. Is the responsibility level the same at the assistant district attorney as it is the public defender?
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioner Blakey. That's a difficult question to answer, just because there's different duties. Obviously, as the Assistant District Attorney, Chief Deputy District Attorney, my job is to supervise the entirety of both the civil and the criminal division, part of which encompasses responsibilities to this county for all parts of the legal operation of this county. Questions that touch on defense of you, defense of the county, defense of our various elected officials, also defense of our public defenders, where we have to defend them in court later on for how they do their job. And so I would say that we supervise more people, we have greater responsibilities, quite frankly. The defense, the public defender, and of course he can speak to this himself, also has a significant duties that, and he's charged with defending indigent criminals, also with representing people appointed by the court for child and family welfare cases, and guardianship cases, and those are individuals that he's tasked with defending and representing, and then also representing people in parole board hearings as well. If I left anything out, Mr. Summer? And so it's a difficult task to compare one to the other, so we'd have to leave that to you.
Mr. Sanford, the impact on the new position was 27,000, and that would be ongoing, of course.
Say that again, rephrase that.
The impact to the assistant district attorney, if we left them at the 27, would be a $27,000 impact on a continuous basis moving forward. Because if the compensation study is approved. Of course, we understand right now it's not because it's not been approved, but.
So, yes, the impacts to the budget would be as reflected in the prior agenda item on a, let me pull it up exactly here.
$26,333.
Let's say for the first year, it would be $9,893.82, including benefits. And then after whenever Mr. Mills's merit date would be, it would be from then on $26,333.62 on an ongoing basis. And that's because it isn't just Mr. Mill's salary that changes, it also affects the elected official.
And if I could just ask Mr. Sanford a question on that, because I'm not sure on his math. Is my recollection of the elected official statute that captures that 3%, that would be effective for the following January based upon the new elected official. So that wouldn't actually go into effect for the elected official until July of 2027.
Correct. I don't know Mr. Mill's actual merit date, and so I don't want to say exactly which dates those will be, but
no, as far as the elected official aspect of your analysis, that person, the elected official, the district attorney, whoever that may be in July of 2027, wouldn't get that 3% until the July 1st date of 2027.
They look at December, whatever the wages as of December for the next year.
so I've performed a simplified analysis with a year one and a year two.
I just
As
wasn't sure
it
that-
currently goes, if Mr. Mills has a merit date between July and January 1, then the impact will actually be greater. And if it's between January 1 and July, then it will be less. And I've done it year one, year two for simplification.
I think there's a lot to consider here. You know, we talk a lot about getting new employees, but when you're talking about the DA's office, and I don't know because I don't see all the applications, are we getting first year out of law school applicants? Are we getting, what's the majority of our applicants? Because you don't want to have a wage that if the majority of our applicants are, can you speak to that, please?
So Commissioner Hyde, since we've hired Ms. Blue as your new Civil Deputy District Attorney, and then we've also had an opening for Mr. McCormick, who went to become the Mineral County DA, we've received one application. and that person had an interview scheduled for Tuesday, but canceled it because they got a job elsewhere. So we've had one application.
What about the other applications that you've had previous?
Well, this has been a continuing saga for us because, as you know, we were here with Ms. Blue asking to put her at step 12 of, I think it was, of the DA1 pay scale because we were so far behind. She had 20-plus years of experience. But again, that we'd had one application for that position. One. And we wound up hiring her. Before that, we had Mr. McCormick, where we had one application. I mean, you go back 10 years, we used to get 20 applications. Now we get one. We had 3 applications for the civil chief deputy position. 3. So that is not a...
And how many years of experience do those applicants have?
Well, for the civil deputy, you had to have at least 5 to even apply for it. And so, and then of course, Mr. McCormick, I think he'd been a practicing lawyer since 2020. So he had 5. And so, yeah. But what the last person that we hired fresh out of law school was (2023), I think. So, yeah. And in that, and for that person, we had 2 applicants for that position at that time. Any further questions?
Well, we got to the discussion of the assistant district attorney by having an impact of 27,000. And that might be just an impact that we have to encompass. And hopefully with his budget being short on payroll due to the inability to fill some of the positions, that impact will not be that hard, and we'll be able to get that into normal basis before it really becomes a problem. So it might be in our best interest to, and to still be attractive, to keep that position, which is labeled as a chief district attorney criminal, at a 27, and then keep the chief deputy district attorney civil at a 26, and a senior deputy district attorney at a 25. And then by doing that, you know, we already agreed to move the attorney 1 to a 22, and if we leave those, and if we keep that the way it is, then, you know, do we want to talk about the attorney 2 position, or are we satisfied with that being at a 23?
I'm satisfied with it being at a 23. It kind of creates a hierarchy, chain of command.
I agree, and I think you're right, and that brings me to my next point was retention. We don't want people to come here and leave either in 5 years. So I believe Baker Tilly did a good job. This is just creating a path moving forward to keep us in a competitive market to recruit and retain employees. So everybody knows this commission would love to pay a starting salary of $100,000 to everybody as a unfortunately, we rely on tax revenue, and that's an impossibility. I'd like to also speak to the sale of our community when we're recruiting individuals. Fallon's a community that I love. If you come from a bigger city, you may not love it. But there's a lot to sell with this community. There's a lot of outdoor activity. So if I was recruiting, I would recruit, especially for some of these. And I don't know if you go to job fairs at law schools. I don't know what happens there. It's not my job to tell anybody what to do. But usually small town people love small towns. It's an issue. Wade moved back to Fallon. Great to have him back. Or he never did move from Fallon, but great to have him back under the county. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of selling points to this community, and some comments were made earlier that I didn't appreciate, pitting certain departments. I called a fence peeker. This county is a team of people that makes the whole thing work. Everybody's important on this team. Nobody's less important, and this job study doesn't mean somebody's less important. It's just based on the skill level that this job requires. Baker Tilly are the experts in evaluating that. We're going to make some tweaks and adjustments as we see fit because we have the authority to do so. These expenses don't end after this year. They go on and on and on. And this commission's focus after this is complete, and I hope it gets a motion today to be complete, is to focus on some revenue generating industry to move into this community so we can support the community in the way it needs to be supported. Thank you.
Very well said. Couldn't agree more. Any other tweaks, additions people want to make or have concerns?
Anybody, any more comments?
All right, I will go back over again to just confirm all of the changes that have been proposed. Again, 7 to 8 is office specialist, recordation clerk, assessor's operations specialist, evidence custodian, sheriff's licensing and record specialist, and human resource specialist. You didn't make any changes since our last discussion. Recordation clerk 2 to move from grade 8 to grade 10. The assessor's deed and title review specialist to go from grade 9 to grade 11. In the comptroller's office to move an accounting specialist 1 from grade 10 to grade 11. There is an accounting specialist 2 position. It wasn't discussed, but I figured you'd want to move that from grade 11 to grade 12. Please let me know if you want to change from there. You also made a recommendation to change the accountant 2 position from grade 14 to grade 15. At the district attorney's office, the current intention is to have the assistant district attorney at grade 27, which is reflected on the current study. The chief deputy district attorney civil is at grade 26 as reflected. Senior deputy district attorney stays at 25. District attorney 2 to stay at 23. District attorney 1 to move from 20 to 22. I know it hasn't been brought up, is there any intention to change the public defender's office, public defender 1, or do you want to leave it at the 20?
Public Defender 1?
Sorry, there's a Deputy Public Defender 1, is a similar structure as what is in the District Attorney's office. So the District Attorney's has a District Attorney 1 and a District Attorney 2, a senior position. They have generally been placed equally. No requirement to do so. You've requested to move the District Attorney 1 entry-level position, but that would not automatically move the public defender, Deputy Public Defender position unless you request it.
You have comments?
Jacob Summer for the record, Public Defender, those should be the same.
Yeah, they need to be the same. That way you're not jumping around from department, yeah. So let's put those at the
You
same.
don't want drama.
What's that?
You don't want drama.
Nope. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
I agree.
I believe that's all the changes I have that have been specified.
Okay, is there anything else anyone wants to add?
The last change was Deputy Public Defender 1 from a 20 to a 22, correct?
Yes.
Add that to the list, Joe.
Essentially just match the public defender's office to match the district attorney's office on those similar positions.
Correct. And I have made the Deputy Public Defender 1, that would be the only position that would be moving.
Okay, is there any other additional public comment on this agenda item? Anything else from board or staff? Okay, if none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm just giving someone one more minute to, if they decide they want to say something. Mr. Chairman, make a motion to adopt the Churchill County Compensation Study, adopt the compensation table as written and with the revisions that were on record, assign all positions to grades on the compensation table, and adopt an implementation plan for FY27 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Old business 8B, consideration of possible action, approval of an agreement for purchase of a conservation restrictive use easement with Jeff Peel, Tammy Peel Gormley, Tim Peel, and Cheryl Galeo on APN number 006-092-07, totaling 193.9 acres with 155.32 acres of water rights. Alexa?
Lex Robinson, County Manager's Office for the record. Guys don't have decision fatigue yet, right? Tough act to follow. Okay, so this is just finalizing the agreement here. They've gone through the sending site process. They were approved back in February of 25 for the sending site application. They've gone through the whole process of, we've done the appraisal. This is the amount the appraisal came back at. They've agreed to this amount. We've signed the agreement that we're agreeing to this amount, but it's not finalized until you guys approve it. So if their approval is done today, there is funding in the Conservation Easement Fund for that, for this agreement. That'll cover it, and there'll still be funds remaining in that fund budget. So if you've got any questions for me, I can answer.
Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
I'll
go
make
ahead.
a comment. I have a question on this property. Are
Oh,
we going
yes.
to, so right now, this property is not in their name, so if it records, it will be erroneous. So I was wondering if they were going to convey the property to these owners before they filed.
Yes, sorry, I was going to mention that. We do have the, Arthur Peel sadly passed, and his descendants have taken over the management of the property. We just got the death certificate, and it's been sent to their lawyer, so they're going to do a title transfer, and we won't record until that's done.
Yeah, so, because it has to be in order, so that's
This probably
all I
won't,
wanted to
we're
say.
hoping to get this recorded before fiscal year end. This won't record us.
Well, Sherry can.
It's fine if it doesn't record in this fiscal, because the Navy's fiscal year ends in,
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, it starts on October 1st.
Yeah, yeah. We won't be recording anything today. This is just approval for the agreement, not for the conservation easement and all that stuff. So. Absolutely, and I meant to bring that up. Thank you for reminding me.
Okay, any other questions? Any other public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the purchase of a conservation easement and 252 transferable development rights from the approved sending site assessor's parcel number 006-092-07.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Old business 8C, consideration and possible action, approval of an agreement for purchase of a conservation restrictive use easement with CNA Rentals LLC on APN number 006-092-16, totaling 72.53 acres with 58.27 acres of water rights. Alexa?
Alexa Robinson again from County Manager's Office for the record. Same thing here. They were approved back in March of 25 through their citizen site application. They've gone through the process. They've done all of the appraisals. This was the amount the appraisal came back at. They've agreed to it. They don't have any hesitation. So, and again, there's funding available set aside for this fiscal year for both of these. Any questions?
Okay, any questions or comments for Alexa on this one? Any public comment? If none, a motion, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of conservation easement and 88 transferable development rights from the approved sending site, assessor's parcel number 006-092-16.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, motion carries. Thank you, Alexa. We'll jump to our new business. 9A was removed, so we'll jump to 9B, consideration and possible action. Approval of health insurance renewal for employees and retirees of Churchill County at an estimated additional cost of $189,553.20. And ladies, the floor is all yours.
Sorry.
Aye.
Good morning. Shannon Perez from Chair with Insurance Advisory Committee.
Lacey, Vice President, Insurance Committee.
Each fiscal year, the Insurance Advisory Committee is charged with making a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners regarding the insurance premiums for the upcoming fiscal year. The past 12 months, insurance claims through March of 2026 have a paid loss ratio of 105%. That means for every dollar that the county paid in insurance premiums, we spent $1.05. Cigna's initial offer for insurance renewal this year was at a 31.85 increase in premiums. The committee determined it was in our best interest to send the account to market for other offers from different carriers. The committee received several proposals, all with plan design changes, and after careful review, the committee had narrowed the decision down to Anthem, as Cigna at that time had not submitted an updated proposal. The committee requested Anthem review blending the increase in the insurance, as they had offered a 2.86% decrease for employee-only benefits. However, dependent coverage was at an increase of 22.8% if you had a spouse, 17.35% if you had children on the plan, and 35.04% if you had family on the plan. The committee further requested Cigna review Anthem's proposal and update their offer. Anthem returned with an offer that they could not blend the increase, leaving the increase being burdened by anybody who had dependents on the plan. Cigna returned with an offer of 5.62% increase across all levels of the base plan, with several specific plan design changes still open for negotiation. The committee determined to move forward with Cigna Insurance, who we have a long-standing relationship with, as the recommendation, noting that Cigna may increase up to the 1%, as the committee determined to make a recommendation to not renew the dental with Cigna. Late yesterday, Cigna returned with an updated recommendation, which leads us to the forms I have provided each of you. Cigna is recommending a 6.2% increase on the base plan, with a total of $206,058.96. In the updated forms, you can see the plan design changes. If an item is in red, it's a decreased benefit from last year's plan, whereas blue is a better benefit. With the exception of a Tier 4 prescription cost share, this was not previously in our plan, and all carriers are now adding this to the plan, as prescriptions are very, very expensive, and the cost share, this is Tier 4 is going to be anything that you see a commercial for. So these are very, very expensive prescriptions. The committee reviewed all the proposals for dental and vision insurance during the market review. We're recommending to the board to accept the proposal of Kansas City Life. The dental insurance is an increased benefit, as you can see in the packet, including a 0% copay. It also opens us up to the DDS network, which we found out this year, Cigna Insurance did not cover one of the dental offices here in Fallon. So with the new Kansas City Life, the employees would have the option to go to any dental office within Fallon. This better benefit is also a decrease of 4.1%. The vision is being recommended with Kansas City Life. This will open us up to the VSP network, which is better coverage and better benefits, with a decrease of 5%. These both have rate guarantees for multiple years. After totaling all of the rates, there's a blended increase of 5.38%, which you can see on the top worksheet that I have provided you with in the adjustments. Additionally, the committee is also charged with making a recommendation to the board for the contribution of the health savings accounts. The county contributes to an employee's HSA account the difference between what the cost is for the base plan to the cost for the HSA plan. With the updated proposals received yesterday, the amount is slightly adjusted from the original proposal, and the recommendation from the committee is the contribution being $99.28 to those accounts. If the board accepts these proposals, open enrollment will be held through the remainder of the month of May with an effective date of July 1st, 2026. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Shannon. Any questions or comments from board or staff? Is there any public comment? If none, a motion, please. Yeah, thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you for all your work on this. It can be taxing at times. Mr. Chair, I would move to accept the recommendations from the Insurance Advisory Committee for employee and retiree health, dental, and vision insurance for fiscal year 2026 through 2027, with a 5.7% increase on medical insurance with Cigna, a 6.8% decrease on dental insurance with new provider Kansas City Life, and 5% decrease for vision insurance with new provider Kansas City Life, and further to accept the recommendations to modify the contribution to $98.82 a month to an employee's health savings account for those employees enrolled in the high deductible health plan.
Mr. Chair, before you take a second on that, the HSA was recommended to be slightly changed from what was in your motion. I think it's $99.28.
Well, amended
27 cents.
$99.27.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Chairman, with those corrections, I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We'll go to consent items. Did anyone want to pull anything off the consent agenda?
No.
If not, a motion for that, please.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Did anyone have anything they wanted to consider for a future agenda item?
Not this time.
Okay, we'll go to Commissioner and Management Staff reports. We'll start with you, Commissioner Hyde.
Been to several meetings, CNHD. We had a meeting, social services, Fallon Youth Club. I also went to a signing for a baseball player. That was pretty awesome. Zach Adams signed to go play baseball at Taft in California. I attended the memorial funeral for Sheriff Hickox. It was very well attended, very well put together, and a very nice final goodbye.
Okay. I had a library board meeting, a Carson Water Subconservancy District meeting, a National Association of Counties meeting, as well as an America 250 meeting. Commissioner Blakey?
First, I'd like to say thank you to all the staff for your hard work on the compensation study, and on behalf of this commission, We are grateful that that is behind us, and we look forward to its implementation, and we look forward to it making us attractive in that world. I also was busy this few days, had a State of Nevada DIDS meeting for Public Defender's Office, attended a CETA meeting, had a federal policy briefing with Senator Matzo's office, a museum meeting, a CETA Business Council, traveled to D.C. on behalf of CCCOM for a legislative policy conference, was able to meet with our delegation there to get support for rural broadband, and attended a NACO workshop on unclaimed property, and Churchill County has unclaimed property, so I'd like to make sure we get that claimed, whoever's job that is. And then I also attended the funeral of Sheriff Hickox. He will greatly be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherry? Wade?
Nothing from me, thanks.
Joe?
I will just note that we are working on the unclaimed property. It is, Alexa's helping us out with that. Thank you to everybody for all the hard work, also on the compensation study. I know that it was a lot of work, but it is good to have it done complete. I will be bringing probably an informational item to the board at the next meeting, or potentially the first meeting in June, so that you can all see all of the impacts that have been presented there. We will finalize all of the job descriptions and title changes and everything that come along with this study, so that it can be fully implemented by the first pay period in July.
Okay, we'll jump back to Commissioner Blakey.
Mr. Sanford, can you provide the commissioners with an updated position list like we worked from, so we know exactly where everybody landed?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Linda?
We had, for March interest, for our investments, $246,000, just a little over that. April property taxes was about $335,000. We mailed 1,000 delinquent letters last month, and of the 1,000, we are publishing 467 parcels are still delinquent, and that is being published next Friday. Mail ballots have been sent out. We had about 144 military and overseas that we mailed out, and then 114 military we emailed. Out of state was about 137, and then we'll have 14,300 of in-state mail ballots going to be sent out on the 11th.
Okay, thank you. Ann?
I just have a public comment, so I'm a little early.
Okay, I'll come back to you then.
Okay.
Tara? Mr. Mallory?
Not at this time.
Denise?
I just wanted to echo thanks for all the hard work on the compensation study. I also wanted to thank the insurance committee for doing a lot of work to get those rates down where people can afford them. I attended the assessors conference down in Pahrump. While there, we spoke to one of the representatives from GOED, the Governor's Economic Abatement, about the impacts of abatements, and that might come up during the next legislative session. So just so you know that. In that consent agenda was our ratio study. I just wanted to point out we had no findings or recommendations from the department. So I want to give kudos to my staff for that.
Tasha?
Yes, I would also like to thank the board for all your hard work and listening ears regarding the compensation study. So thank you.
Thank you. Lee?
I'd like to echo that for the compensation study. I'd also like to thank not only the Churchill County residents and people of Churchill County who attended Sheriff Richard Hickox's funeral, but also the numerous agencies who came forward and assisted in making that what it should be, including the governor coming down and speaking at his funeral. It was a good send-off and honoring the man that served this county for a long time.
Thank you, Lee. Claims and payroll are going around. At this time, is there any public comment?
I would just like to remind or let you all know of the fire department street dance on May 15th. That's a good time fundraiser for the fire department, food provided by the city of Fallon, games, fire truck rides. It's a good family event.
Thank you, Ann. Any other public comment? Okay. If none, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.